Hello everyone. In the last videos, we were discussing the second unit, electrostatics and electromagnetism, from basics of electrical and electronics instrumentation engineering. So, in continuation with the last video, we'll discuss some other points from the same chapter, electrostatics and electromagnetism. So for today's video, the learning objectives are three. That is, we'll be discussing three laws which are based on electrostatics and electrodynamics. Those the three laws which are of today's content are: first one is Faraday's law, second is we'll be discussing Lenz's law, and finally we'll conclude this video with Fleming's right hand rule. Okay, so why I have taken only these three laws for today's video is that all the three laws are one way or other connected to each other. Okay, so the direction of one law is given in why the rotation of a coil which is working under one law is defined in another law, or else it is proved in other law. And at the same time, the direction of currents and the direction of the magnetic fields in one law, prescribed in one law, were coming from the other law. So all these three laws are one way or other connected or continuity of the other law. So the main concern for today's today's video will be only these three laws, and the remaining laws will be discussed in the next videos. Okay, first we'll move on with the first law, that is Faraday's law. Okay, so according to Faraday has given us two laws. In that we'll try to briefly know what these laws are all about. Okay, coming to the Faraday's laws of induction is the fundamental law on which any electrical motor operates. So for any electrical circuit, we generally see either a simple motor or to a complex induction motor we see. But all these motors work on a principle called as Faraday's laws of induction. So Michael Faraday is the one who is credited in discovering this induction principle in 1831, but other person named James Clerk Maxwell described it mathematically. So Michael has given the base for this Faraday's laws of induction, whereas James Clerk Maxwell has described it giving it a mathematical equation, and is used for the foundation of its quantitative electromagnetic theory in 1860s. So these laws were back in 1800s only. So then only the discovery of induction and all has been taken place. So coming to the Faraday's laws of electromagnetic induction, Faraday's law generally states that in a closed coil or in a closed loop of wire, a change in the magnetic environment of the coil causes a voltage or EMF to be induced in the coil. So Faraday's law is talking about two properties, that is electrical property and magnetic property. So when we take a magnetic field and in that field an electrical conductor is placed, we observe some changes. That change will cause either a voltage or EMF. EMF is nothing but electromotive force. So when these two fields, that is when the magnetic field and the electric field, they come in contact, they are generating some kind of property, and they are producing a voltage or EMF in the coil. This was stated in Faraday's law. This change in the magnetic environment can be caused by changing the magnetic field strength or by moving the magnet towards or away from the coil, moving the coil in and out of the magnetic field or rotating the coil in the field. So as I said, we'll take two fields, that is, one is magnetic field, the other one is electric field. So if you want to change this magnetic environment, we can change this magnetic environment by changing either its magnetic field strength between the two magnets, north pole and south pole, or either moving away the magnet from the electric field, that is, from the coil we can move the magnet away, or by moving the coil in and out of the magnetic field. So either we can move it away or we can move inwards and outwards, and otherwise we can also change the magnetic environment by rotating the coil in the field. Either ways, in any of these said ways, we can change the magnetic field. Thereby we can observe a change in the voltage or change in the EMF. This fundamental base or fundamental logic, this was proposed by Faraday, and this law is named under his name as Faraday's laws of electromagnetic induction. So coming to the Faraday's laws of electromagnetic induction, or we simply say it as Faraday's law, it is a basic law of electromagnetism predicting how a magnetic field will interact with an electric circuit to produce an EMF, electromotive force. This phenomenon is known as electromagnetic induction. In simple, what we can say is that what Faraday's law is telling is, there is a magnetic field. When you bring an electric field into this magnetic field, because of the changes that occur in the magnetic field which was initially there, and this change will, or the interaction between this electric and magnetic field will give us an EMF. This phenomena is simply called as electromagnetic induction, and we know what is meant by induction. So induction is nothing but a property of a device, or simply an inductor or a coil or a loop of wire that tells how effectively it induces an EMF in another device. This induction is of two types. It may be self-inductance or mutual inductance. For example, if it is a self-inductance, this point induction is a point which we see either for coils, transformers, or a loop of wires. We say we come with a property called as induction. Induction may be of two types, self-inductance and mutual inductance. So self-inductance is nothing but when a current is supplied to a magnetic field or a coil of wire, a voltage will be developed in the coil. If it is induced in itself, or else when the because of the magnetic field, an electric potential or EMF is induced in the coil itself, that property or that effect is called as self-inductance. Whereas mutual inductance is a point where because of the current that is flowing in one coil, EMF will be induced in the coil beside it. That property is called as mutual inductance. Because of the current in one coil, EMF will be induced in the nearby coil. This property is called as mutual inductance. Either it may be self-inductance or mutual inductance, EMF generation or EMF production will be done. The induced EMF will be equal to the negative rate of change of the magnetic flux times the number of turns in the coil. So we have already discussed what is meant by magnetic flux in the previous video. Now I am not talking about those points, but the EMF induced expression will be given as the negative rate of change of magnetic flux times the number of turns in the coil. That is, E is given as E is equal to minus of N delta pi by delta t. Delta here it is indicating the rate of change. So where E is nothing but EMF in volts, N is the number of turns in the coil. So the amount of voltage or the amount of EMF being induced will be directly proportional to the number of turns that you are taking. So E will be directly proportional to the number of turns of the coil or wire, where phi is nothing but magnetic flux. So in general, the units for magnetic flux will be Webers, and T is nothing but time in seconds. So the EMF induced E will be equal to the minus of the number of turns into the rate of change of flux with the time within the time t. Okay, this is the EMF expression what we give for Faraday's law. And before going into what are the applications of Faraday's law, we'll discuss some points like how to increase the EMF induced in a coil. The EMF induced in a coil can be increased by the number of turns in the coil, that is N. From the formula which is derived, if the number of coil is increased, the EMF also gets increased. Second point is to increase the EMF by increasing the magnetic field surrounding the coil. Mathematically, if the magnetic field increases, flux increases, and if the flux increases, EMF induced will also get increased. That is, theoretically, if the coil is passed through a stronger magnetic field, there will be more lines of force for the coil to cut, and hence there will be more EMF induced. Okay, the other point how to increase the EMF in the coil is that by increasing the speed of the relative motion between the coil and the magnet. If the relative speed between the coil and the magnet is increased from its previous value, the coil will cut the lines of flux at a faster rate. So more induced EMF will be produced. So by increasing all the three values, like by increasing the number of turns and increasing the magnetic field strength, and also by increasing the speed of the relative motion between the coil and the magnet, the EMF induced in the coil can be increased. Okay, so these are the points which we have to keep it in mind while we are dealing with Faraday's law. So the expression and what is a statement. So when a current carrying conductor is placed in a magnetic field, an EMF will be induced in that current carrying conductor, and that current carrying conductor will be driven out of the magnetic field, or it will be moving at 90 degrees in the magnetic field, and the EMF that is induced because of this induction effect between the magnetic and the electric field is given as E is equal to minus of N d pi by dt volts. Okay, and with this we can know what are the applications of Faraday's laws. So coming to the applications of Faraday's law, the first and foremost application of Faraday's law is so the most basic important laws of electromagnetism is Faraday's law. This law find its application is most of the electrical machines, industries, medical field, etc. So the first one is power transformer. The power transformer's function is based on Faraday's laws. Second one is the basic working principle of any electrical generator is Faraday's laws of mutual induction. Third one is induction cooker, which we use in our kitchens. That is electric induction cooker. The induction cooker is the fastest way of cooking these days. So it also works on the principle of mutual inductance. When current flows through a coil of copper wire placed below the cooking container, it produces a changing magnetic field. This alternating or changing magnetic field induces an EMF, and hence the current in the conductive container, and we know the current the flow of current always produces heat in it. So this is how we cook rice or anything in the induction cooker these days. Okay, so this is purely based on Faraday's law, that is when current is flowing in the coil that is placed beneath the cooker, that will be placed, that electric field will be placed between a magnetic field. This magnetic field and electric field in combination, when current is passed, heat will be produced. That heat is utilized for the cooking purpose. The next one is next application of Faraday's laws is electromagnetic flow meter. The electromagnetic flow meter is used to measure the velocity of certain fluids. When a magnetic field is applied to an electrically insulated pipe in which conducting fields are flowing, then according to Faraday's law, an electromotive force is induced in it. This induced EMF is proportional to the velocity of the fluids that is flowing. So this is how we measure the velocity of fluids using electromagnetic flow meters, and this comes under an application of Faraday's law. And from the other point is that from the basis of electromagnetic theory, Faraday's ideas of lines of force is used in well-known Maxwell's equations. According to Faraday's law, change in the magnetic field give rise to change in the electric field, and the converse of this is used in Maxwell's equation. So initially I was telling you that one law in one way or other connected to the other law. So here the Faraday's law's converse expression or converse phenomena is used in other laws, that is nothing but Maxwell's law. So in Maxwell's law what we see is that according to Faraday's law, magnetic field, change in the magnetic field give rise to change in electric field. The opposite of this we see in Maxwell's expressions, like the change in the electric field will give rise to change in the magnetic field. So this is also a kind of application what we see for Faraday's laws. So and also the other point of Faraday's laws is in orchestra we use Faraday's law, that is in all musical instruments like electric guitars, electric violins, etc. we will be using Faraday's laws, that is wired instruments which are powered, electrically powered wired instruments. They are using or they are working under the principle of Faraday's laws of electromagnetic induction. Okay, so these are the basic or fundamental applications of any Faraday's law. Like in power transformers we use electrical generators, induction cookers, electromagnetic flow meters. In all the biomedical instruments, instrumentation engineering like electromagnetic blood flow meters and all, we will be using electromagnetic flow meter we will be using. And also in instrumentation field like measuring the flow, level, velocity, etc. There also we can use the electromagnetic type of instruments which are working under the principle of Faraday's laws. And also Faraday's laws are used in electrically wired musical instruments. Faraday law is being used. And finally Faraday's laws can also be used in other laws like Maxwell's law, Lenz's law, and also we can see it in Fleming's right hand rule. These laws are being implemented. This law means Faraday's law is being implemented. So with this we got to know the basic fundamental statement of Faraday's law, its expression, and also the applications of Faraday's laws. Next we'll move on with the second law for today's video, that is Lenz's law. Lenz's law is named after a German scientist H.F.V. Lenz in 1834. All these laws are back in 1800s only. So previously I was telling you that Faraday's laws was also discovered by two scientists. One is both are from the 18th centuries only. So coming to the Lenz's law demonstrates the reason for the negative sign in the Faraday's laws of induction. Previously, the expression for Faraday's law E is given as minus n of d pi by dt. Though there the negative sign for the expression E is given. That why that negative sign has been given will be explained in this Lenz's law. That is, in other words, Lenz's law explain why the EMF generated according to the Faraday's law is negative. So Lenz's law major concern is why the EMF induced according to the Faraday's law is generated with a negative sign. Okay, so Lenz's law obeys two laws. The first law is Newton's third law of motion. The other one is the conservation of energy. Newton's third law, this we all know, that is Newton's third law states that in every action there will be an equal and opposite reaction. And the other law on which Lenz's law obeys is that conservation of energy. The energy may be neither created nor destroyed, and therefore the sum of all the energy in the system is a constant. Based on these two laws, Lenz's law will be working. So Lenz's law definitely obeys Newton's third law of motion as well as conservation of energy, and this law explains why the EMF generated according to Faraday's laws is negative. And coming to the statement of Lenz's law, a common way to state Lenz's law is that when EMF is generated by change in the magnetic field, the polarity of the induced EMF is such that it generates a current whose magnetic field in the direction of the current opposes the change that producing it, that is the original magnetic field. Okay, so that is when the EMF is generated, I repeat, the EMF is generated by change in the magnetic field. This we know according to the Faraday's law. Okay, the polarity of this induced EMF is such that it generates a current whose magnetic field is in the direction that opposes the change that produces it. So half of the statement is from the Faraday's law, that is when EMF is generated, that EMF generation is because of the change in the magnetic flux, but that polarity of the produced EMF is such that it is generating a current whose magnetic field is in the direction that opposes the changing magnetic field which produces it. The direction of this current flow is given by another law or another rule. That rule is Fleming's right hand rule. So the direction of this current is given by Fleming's right hand rule. So Lenz's law states that the direction of the current induced in a conductor by changing a magnetic field is such that the magnetic field created by the induced current opposes the initial changing magnetic field which produces it. So this can be a bit hard to understand at first. So let's look at an example. Let's look at an example problem. Remember that when a current is induced by a magnetic field, the magnetic field that this induced current produces will create its own magnetic field. This magnetic field will always be such that it opposes the magnetic field that originally created it. In the example below, if the magnetic field B is increasing, which is shown in figure 1, the induced magnetic field will act in opposite to it. So in this can be observed in the diagram 1, that is the magnetic field will always be in such that it opposes a magnetic field that originally created. Okay, when a magnetic field, you can observe in the second figure, which is given by number 2, when the magnetic field B is decreasing, the induced magnetic field will again act in opposition to it. But this time in opposition means that it is acting to increase the field, since it is opposing the decreasing rate of change. Okay. Lenz's law is based on Faraday's laws of induction. Faraday's laws tell how the changing magnetic field will induce a current in the conductor. Lenz's law tells us the direction of this induced current, which opposes the initial changing magnetic field which produces it. This is significant in the formula for Faraday's law by the negative sign. Lenz's law is based on Faraday's laws of induction. Faraday's laws tells us that a changing magnetic field will induce a current in a conductor. The Lenz's law tells us the direction of this induced current, which opposes the initial changing magnetic field which produces it. This is signified in the formula for Faraday's law by the negative sign. E is equal to minus d pi b by dt, d pi b by dt. That is d pi by dt into b. This change in the magnetic field may be caused by changing the magnetic field strength by moving the magnet towards or away from the coil, or moving the coil into or out of the magnetic field. In other words, we can say that the magnitude of EMF induced in the circuit is proportional to the rate of change of flux. E is proportional to d pi by dt. E is nothing but the induced EMF. Delta d pi b is nothing but rate of change in the magnetic flux. Here n is not given. If we remove the proportionality, this can be given as E is equal to n d pi by dt. There n will give us the number of turns in the coil. So to understand this better, that is to understand better the Lenz's law, let us consider two cases. So the two cases is case 1, when the magnet is moving towards the coil. When the north pole of this magnet is approaching the coil, the magnetic flux linking to the coil increases. According to Faraday's laws of electromagnetic induction, when there is a change in flux, an EMF and hence current is induced in the coil, and this current will create its own magnetic field. Okay. Now, according to Lenz's law, this magnetic field created will oppose its own, or we can say opposes increase in the flux to the coil, and this is possible only if approaching coil side attains north polarity. As we know, similar poles repel each other, which is according to Coulomb's law. Once we know the magnetic polarity of the coil side, we can easily determine the direction of the induced current by applying right hand rule, that is Fleming's right hand rule. In this case, current flow is in the anti-clockwise direction. So that's why we can see in the diagram there is a meter. In that meter, the positive sign is on the left side, right side, negative is on the right side. That is showing that the current flow is in the anti-clockwise direction, that is from right hand side to the left hand side. We see the direction of movement of the pointer in the meter. And the second case is when the magnet is moving away from the coil. So the same thing, point is that in the case 1, the magnet is moving towards the coil. Now we will see what happens if the magnet is moving away from the coil. When the north pole of the magnet is moving away from the coil, the magnetic flux linking to the coil decreases. According to the Faraday's laws of electromagnetic induction, an EMF and hence current is induced in the coil, and this current will create its own magnetic field. Now, according to Lenz's law, this magnetic field created will oppose its own, or we can say opposes the direction decrease in the flux through the coil, and this is possible only if the approaching coil side attains south polarity. As we know, dissimilar poles attract each other, that is, or unlike poles attract each other based on Coulomb's law. Once we know the magnetic property of the coil side, we can easily determine the direction of the induced current by applying right hand rule. In this case, that is in case 2, the current flows in clockwise direction. So that's why the pointer in this meter will move from the left hand side to the right hand side. So from these two cases, we can observe that based on the Lenz's law, when a magnet moves inwards, what is happening we have observed, and when the magnet is moving away from the coil, what is happening in the circuit we have observed. Okay, Lenz's law can be stated as follows. Like if a magnetic flux phi linking a coil increases, the direction of current in the coil will be such that it will oppose the increase in flux, and hence the induced current will produce its flux in a direction that is shown in the figure on the screen. This is done, or this is shown using Fleming's right hand thumb rule. And if the magnetic flux phi linking the coil is decreasing, the flux produced by the current in the coil is such that it will aid the main flux, and hence the direction of current is shown in the diagram. Okay, so this is all about Lenz's law, and on which Lenz's law is working, and what is the base for Lenz's law have been discussed. Now we'll see some applications of Lenz's law. So Lenz's law can be used to understand the concept of stored magnetic energy in an inductor. In any inductors, we can store some kind of some magnetic energy, and that concept can be understood by knowing Lenz's law. When a source of EMF is connected across an inductor, a current starts flowing through it. This is nothing but induction. The back EMF will oppose this increase in current through the conductor. In order to establish the flow of current, the external source of EMF has to do some work to overcome this opposition. This work can be done by the EMF is stored in the inductor, and it can be recovered after removing the external source of EMF from the circuit. Okay, so simply Lenz's law is used in the concept called as storage of magnetic energy in inductor. So another thing is, Lenz's law indicates that the induced EMF and change in the flux have opposite signs, which provide a physical interpretation of the choice of signs in the Faraday laws of induction. So this point we have already discussed, that why a negative sign has been assigned for the expression of Faraday's law will be explained in Lenz's law. So other main application of Lenz's law is electric generators. When a current is induced in a generator, the direction of this induced current is such that it opposes and causes the rotation of the generator, which is according to Lenz's law, and hence the generator requires more mechanical energy. It also provides back EMF in case of electric motors. Okay, finally, Lenz's law is used in electromagnetic braking and induction cooktops. So Lenz's law is also in the Faraday's laws also. I've given you this application, like in cookware, that is induction cooking system. Faraday's laws as well as Lenz's laws can be used. Okay, these are some of the examples for Lenz's law. And next we'll move on with the other point for discussion for today, that is Fleming's left hand rule. So coming to the Fleming's left hand rule, here we have two rules, that is Fleming's left hand rule we have and Fleming's right hand rule. Both of them will be discussed, but for this video we'll just discuss Fleming's left hand rule. Okay. The left and right hand thumb rules were founded by John Ambrose Fleming in late 19th century. John discovered that both of these rules are named after himself, so he named these laws after him. Okay, the laws are now known as Fleming's left hand and right hand rule. So according to the Fleming's left hand rule, whenever a current carrying conductor comes under a magnetic field, there will be a force acting on the conductor. The direction of this force can be found using Fleming's right hand rule. Okay, so when a current carrying conductor which comes in a magnetic field, this is a point which we are discussing from starting of the video, like from Faraday's law. Also the Faraday law also describes the same, like it talks about these 2 points: current carrying conductor placed in a magnetic field. There in Faraday's law, how much EMF induced is given, whereas for Fleming's left hand rule, when a current carrying conductor is placed in a magnetic field, what will be the force that is acting on the conductor will be given, and that law is given by Fleming's left hand rule. So whenever a current carrying conductor comes under a magnetic field, there will be a force acting on the conductor. The direction of this force can be found using Fleming's right hand rule. Fleming's right hand rule is also known as left hand rule. Fleming's left hand rule is also known as Fleming's left hand rule for motors. This rule do not determine the magnitude, but instead show the direction of any of these 3 parameters. That is, it does not measure any magnitude or does not give us some values like in Faraday's law. But thing is that it just shows in what direction the 3 parameters like magnetic field, current and force are flowing. So according to Fleming's left hand rule, the directions of the 3 parameters like magnetic field, current and force can be determined. When the direction of the other 2 parameters, any of the 2 parameters is known, that the direction of the third parameter can be easily found out by using a law called as Fleming's left hand rule, which is otherwise called as Fleming's left hand rule for motors. So for this, hold out your left hand with your forefinger, second finger and thumb at right angles to each other. So stretch out your arm, stretch out your palm in such that the little finger and the ring finger are in folding position, and the other 3 fingers, that is thumb, forefinger and the second finger, are at 90 degrees to each other. The forefinger represents the direction of the field. This you can see it on the screen. The second finger represents the current, and the third, that is nothing but the thumb, will give you the direction of force. So the direction of force is given by thumb. The second forefinger will give you the direction of the field, and the second finger or the middle finger gives you the direction of the current. So Fleming's left hand rule describes or gives us a clear idea in which directions all the parameters like current, magnetic and electric fields are being generated, and in what direction these should be represented is clearly explained in Fleming's left hand rule. In the below figure, a portion of conductor of length L is placed vertically in a uniform horizontal magnetic field of strength H, produced by two magnetic poles north and south. If the current I is flowing through this conductor, the magnitude of the force acting on the conductor can be given as F is equal to BIL, where B is nothing but the magnetic flux, I is nothing but the current that is flowing, and L is nothing but the length of the conductor. So the force that is being acting on the conductor can be given as F is equal to BIL. It is found that whenever a current carrying conductor is placed in a magnetic field, force on the conductor in a direction perpendicular to both the direction of the current and the magnetic field. While current flows through the conductor, one magnetic field is induced around it. The magnetic field can be imagined by considering the number of closed magnetic lines of force around the conductor. The direction of the magnetic lines of force can be determined by other rule called Maxwell's corkscrew rule or right hand grip rule. This is not the point of concern right now, but as per rules, the direction of magnetic lines of force is clockwise if the current is flowing away from the viewer. This is given in the diagram, you can observe. That is, if the direction of current through the conductor is inward from the reference plane, which is as shown in the figure. And now if the horizontal magnetic field is applied externally to the conductor, these two magnetic fields, that is field around the conductor due to the current through it and the externally applied field, will interact with each other. In this picture we can see that the magnetic lines of force of external magnetic field are from north pole to south pole, that is from left to right. The magnetic lines of force of the external magnetic field in this diagram and magnetic lines of force due to the current in the conductor, we can see it in the same direction above the conductor, and they are in the opposite direction below the conductor. Hence, there will be a larger number of co-directional magnetic lines of force above the conductor than that of below the conductor. This we can see it in the diagram that is displayed on the screen. So consequently, there will be a larger concentration of magnetic lines of force in small space above the conductor. As magnetic lines of force are no longer straight lines, they are under tension like stretched rubber bands. So this we can see on the upper and the lower side, the lines are just like stretched rubber bands they look like. Okay, and coming to the applications of Fleming's left hand rule. So as it is given, Fleming's left hand rule is also known as Fleming's left hand rule of electric motor. That is, from the name itself we'll get to know that this concept of or Fleming's left hand rule concept is used in electrical motor. The major application is electrical motor. So when a current carrying conductor is placed in a magnetic field, a torque acts on the coil which rotates continuously. When the coil rotates, the shaft attached to it also rotates, and thus it is able to do its mechanical work. So from this we get to know that Fleming's left hand rule is used in electric motors. Okay, so in this video we have briefly and elaborately discussed the three basic laws of electrostatics and electromagnets. That is, first we have discussed Faraday's laws, given its equation and also the applications, and later on we have moved and discussed about points from Lenz's law, and also we have discussed the applications of Lenz's law. Finally, we have discussed about Fleming's left hand rule, and also the applications of Fleming's left hand rule have been discussed in this video. I guess I've been clear in all my points of this video, and in the next coming videos we'll be discussing the other laws which are from the same unit, that is basic electric and electronics engineering. The other laws, like just now we have discussed left hand rule. In the next videos we'll be discussing some Biot-Savart's law, Fleming's right hand rule, Ampere circuit law, and all will be, and the remaining laws which come under electrostatics and electromagnetics will be discussed in the next coming slides. With this, I'll conclude this video and see you in the next video. Thank you.